Most people assume quitting a stable career at 50 is a breakdown, a panic move, a late-life mistake. But research tells a different story. IER data reported by Psychology Today says about 90% of career changers felt happier, less stressed, and successful overall after changing careers. Think about what that actually means. Not they survived, they improved. So the real question isn't why would you do that? The question is, what did they stop believing about success that you're still believing right now? Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Have you ever noticed that certain people don't quit in a blur of panic? They quit after a weird calm, like you finally did the math, and the math stopped making sense. Think about it. You're 50. You've been steady for a long time. You took the safe job, then the better title, then the bigger team. You learned the lines. You smiled at the right time. People said, "Good for you." And you nodded like that was the whole point. And then it's Sunday night. You're in your kitchen, lights low, fridge hum, phone face down. You feel that dull drag in your chest. Not sharp fear, just weight. Not, "I hate my life." More like, "I don't want to do this again." And the scary part is how normal it feels. But here's the thing. The trigger isn't always a crash. No blow-up, no scandal, no epic fight with your boss. Sometimes it starts the day you realize your old reward system is dead. Social comparison theory is the fancy term. It just means you judge your life by watching other people's lives. Who's ahead? Who got promoted? Who bought the nicer house? And for a while, that game works. It gives you a hit of, "I'm doing it right." Then one day you look up and the people you were chasing don't even look happy anymore. They look tired. They look numb. They talk in that flat voice about bonuses and stress like it's weather. And you catch yourself thinking, wait, if I catch them, that's what I get? Psychologists call this an existential turning point. It's when your brain stops scoring your life on status and starts scoring it on meaning. Not because you got soft, because you got honest. Your mind gets less impressed by shiny stuff and more sensitive to what your days actually feel like. And it usually shows up through normal events, not movie scenes. You take a week off and you still wake up tired. Not sleepy tired, soul tired. You come back from vacation and by day 3, your shoulders are back up by your ears. Or your company restructures, that nice word. And you watch someone who gave them 20 years get walked out with a cardboard box. And the loyalty story in your head, the one that said, "If I do my part, they'll do theirs," just falls apart in real time. Or you get a health scare, nothing dramatic. A weird test result, a pain that won't go away. A doctor saying, "Let's keep an eye on it." And suddenly, someday stops sounding cute. It sounds like a lie you told yourself because it helped you get through Monday. Now let's zoom in on the internal shift. Your internal locus of control turns back on. That's just psych talk for, "I'm the one driving." You stop living like your life is a performance review. So the question changes. You don't keep asking, "What will people think?" Because you already know. They'll think you're nuts. They'll think you're ungrateful. They'll think you're having a crisis. The real question becomes, can I live with this? Not for a month, for 10 more years. Can you wake up, answer the same emails, sit in the same meetings, and feel okay knowing this is most of your time? And you don't storm out. You don't throw your badge on the desk. You do the quiet stuff. You open a spreadsheet. You look at your savings. You look at health insurance. You look at retirement age. Then you look at your energy, which is the one number you can't fake. And that's when it hits you. The real cost isn't money, it's years. From the outside, people call it walking away from success. Inside, it feels like walking towards something you can finally name. Not a dream job, not a perfect purpose, just a life that doesn't make you smaller. So what separates the person who actually leaves from the person who only daydreams? It's not bravery, it's clarity. You reach a point where the old story can't explain your life anymore. Which brings us to the part nobody warns you about. You don't just change jobs. You have to change the story you tell about who you are. There is something different about people who say, "I feel like a new person," after a career change. They're not talking about the job. They're talking about who they get to be when nobody is clapping. So you walk into this new field and it's like time travel. New tools, new slang, new ways to show you're good. Your coworkers are younger, fast, and casual about stuff you had to learn the hard way. And your brain does that old scan. Am I safe here? Am I a fraud here? What am I doing here? But here's the thing. That feeling isn't proof you messed up. It's the danger zone because of the story you tell yourself while you feel it. If you treat this like a clean reset, you start acting like you have no past. You hide what you don't know. You shrink in meetings. You go home and replay one awkward moment like it means you're washed. That spiral isn't about skill. It's about identity threat. Your old identity had armor, your title, your track record, the way people looked at you when you spoke. Now that armor is gone, and your nervous system thinks you're exposed. Which brings us to the core psych move that makes late changes actually stick. Meaning making. That's when you take what happened and decide what it meant, instead of letting fear do it for you. Psychologists call this narrative reconstruction. Simple idea. You rewrite the plot, not the facts. You don't pretend the last 20 years didn't happen. You stop treating them like a detour. Here's a tool that works because it's small enough to do when you're tired. The 4-line life story. Line 1. The old identity you're leaving. Not the job title. The role. The dependable one. The fixer. The person who keeps the peace. Line 2. The cost it had. Missed dinners. Tight jaw. That weird numb feeling when someone praises you and it doesn't land. Line 3. The values you're moving toward. More time. More truth. Work you can respect at 2 a.m. when nobody is watching. Line 4. The skills you're bringing with you. Real skills. Not vague stuff like people person. Things you can point to under pressure. Short lines, no fluff. When you do this, you stop feeling like you're starting from zero because you can see the transfer. And this is where it gets almost funny. Your random past jobs start to look like a pattern once you stop judging them by status. You weren't just in customer service. You got good at calming people down when their brain was on fire. You weren't just in ops. You learned how to spot broken systems, patch them, and keep things moving when the plan falls apart. You weren't just managing. You practiced teaching, selling ideas, reading rooms, leading without yelling. That's not nothing. That's a toolkit. So the new career often isn't a left turn. It's the same core moves with a new label. That's why some people rise fast in a new field. They're not new. They're newly placed. Now let's add a second filter because story alone can drift into fantasy. Ikigai. People treat it like a promise of perfect joy. It's not. It's a sorting tool. You look at 4 things: what you like, what you're good at, what people need, what pays. The point is the overlap. Not all 4, all the time, forever. But the hard part is still the day-to-day role shift. New culture, new norms, age gaps. Sometimes ageism that shows up as, "Are you sure you want to learn this?" said with a smile. So you lean on executive function. That's your brain's planning gear. You schedule learning like workouts. You practice the basics until they're boring. You ask dumb questions on purpose early so they stop being scary later. And that's why people say they feel like a new person. They didn't erase the old self. They stopped measuring it with the wrong ruler, and happiness becomes a valid metric again because it fits the new story. Now let's get real about the outside world. Because meaning is strong, but systems still push back, and the people who make it through do a few very specific things. The person who walks away from success isn't broken. You're watching a turning point where status stops working and meaning takes over. Psychologists call this a values shift. This wasn't failure, it was a values update. The calm you felt wasn't numb, it was clarity. So here's your question. If you stopped using other people's lives as the scoreboard, what would you build with the skills you already have? Think about it. Your pattern recognition, your patience, your nerve under stress. Drop a comment and share your story. Hit like and subscribe because we dive deep into psychology that actually explains how your mind works.